Hey folks, welcome back here to my channel Whisky Wismar. My name is Christopher and today for my 8th review I chose this, one of my favorite bottles. It's a Glendronach single cask, distilled 15th of January 1993, and this date is actually one of the most bespoke dates of distillation in recent Glendronach history, as apparently many of the single casks released from this date, filled into certain casks, are absolutely beloved by lots of Glendronach fans. So if you are part of the, for instance, Glendronach Appreciation Society on Facebook, of that group, then you know how renowned and famous many of these bottlings are. Problem is, and this became apparent when some of those members there actually approached Glendronach, did interviews with them, with Rachel Barry, the new master distiller and master blender of Glendronach. What they did back in the day, in that date, at that date, and what they did differently later on or earlier, and they don't know. They didn't retain any new make samples, so they cannot analyze it and see what made these distillation dates so extraordinary in many people's eyes. It's all subjective, of course. 92 has amazing casks as well. 95, many different single casks, regardless of the year, are absolutely enjoyable. But many that were filled or distilled and filled 15th of January 1993 stand out and stood out the most. So this particular bottling is from batch 9 of the single cask releases, distilled, I already told you, 1993, and bottled October 2013, so it's a little over 5 years old. This is just the last bit I have left from this bottle. I back then, believe it was 2015, bought this one for a bottle split, so not much left, of course. Cask number 5, 53% ABV, all in all 645 bottles, and age 20 years in an Oloroso sherry casks. And this little bit I have left is now what I'd like to nose, taste, and then mark. Talking about single casks, of course, there were quite a number of discussions on Glendronach, whether they are actual proper single casks, distilled, put in a cask, left there for 20 years, and then bottled. So, and this was actually confirmed by Billy Walker's son, Alistair Walker, in recent years, that they do a lot of re-racking, as it's called. So, putting the juice, the whiskey, from one cask into another. This can have multitude of reasons. For instance, the cask is leaking, or it is not maturing the whiskey strong enough or fast enough or too strong. So this is what they in general call cask management, but took away lots of the romantic imagination of many of the whiskey fans, how many of these single casks actually are in the back of a warehouse, sleeping there for 20 years or longer, and then at some point they are deemed ready and then bottled. And this was and is not the case for many of these single casks of Glendronach. They have lots of different stages where these whiskies are then re-raked from one cask to another. And for some of the whiskies that have lots and lots of bottles, this one as well, 645, after 20 years of maturation in a single cask, this would have probably dipped down quite significantly due to angel share and others. So this is then when they marry together maybe two very low casks into a new big one, so that they can sell quite a number of bottles here from one single cask. The Scottish Whisky Association is actually pretty vague on what a single cask actually constitutes. But no matter, the results sort of are reason enough to say that Glendronach did a lot of things right, and we'll see what the future brings now under the new ownership and the custodian of that distillation and blending, Rachel Berry, how she is going to handle many of these single cask releases. As far as I know, the last batch 16, is actually, or still has Billy Walker's name on those tubes as well as the packaging. So now coming back here to this whiskey, let's see how the nose fares after having been bottled and being here in my sample bottle for almost 3 years. This is so typically Glendronach, but at the same time just a great example of nice sherry cask, of awesome sherry cask maturation in general. So what you do have here, it's not as sweet as many of the PX sherry puncheons that you could also and still can buy. It does not have this caramelly molasses note that many of the PX, classic PX, Pedro Jimenez casks exhibit. This is drier, this is more herbal. Lots of oak, sawdust, espresso, melted milk chocolate. So sort of this interplay going on between dry and herbal and sweet, but the sweetness is rather moderate. Overripe figs, raisins, plums, a little bit of incense, so oak incense, perfumey a little bit, and all in all, sort of like you have all this dried fruit, and they are then once again or again placed into a jar with brandy, rum, or cognac, and then you get it out for your mulled wine on Christmas Eve. Absolutely gorgeous nose. With 53% ABV, you cannot sense it whatsoever. So let's have a sip. It's the perfect strength. Salt your tongue immediately with oak, but not the alcohol. It's not really burning. It's just sort of a tingling sensation from the spice. It's immediately, salivating afterwards. So dry impact, a little bit of sourness, and then salivating sweetness in the back. Like dry Cointreau. If you had orange liqueur or triple sec Cointreau, it's very sweet, of course. But this has the aroma of it, but not the sweetness. It goes down very warming. Raisins, prunes, chocolate sauce. Once again, oak, oak, oak. And now on the nose, after having taken a sip, the oaken scents and perfumey sawdust note are getting stronger. Just great, gorgeous whiskey. You can play with water in this for this one, but only a little bit. A few drops, and it gets even darker with more chocolate. But at 53%, it's perfectly drinkable, and it's not really needed to dilute it any further. So now for the finish. So this was it. All gone now, but it's not gone fast. Yeah? It's still long finish, very warming as it makes its way down your throat. Oaky, yeah, sweet tannins, sort of associations of sweetness, just from the aromas and the flavors, but not really from the actual sensation in your mouth. So it's on the dry side on overall. More raisins, prunes, but once again, a little bit of herbal characteristic there. So tannins from overbrewed herbal tea, for instance. But just a great single cask overall, and highly recommended if you can still find it. According to Whiskybase, and you have the link below, there's still a few shops who sell them. One in particular that's has an excessive price, so disregard that. But if you can find it for, well, I bought it for 180 euros, 190 euros. If you can get it for 300, and then this might still be a bargain and worth it. So check the auctions. Yeah, great stuff. So now for the rating. As you know, I have a very distinct rating system. I'd like to refer back to my introduction video where I actually showed it and portrayed it and went into it. But this exceeds the 90 points. 80 good whiskey, 85 very good whiskey, and 90 excellent stuff. So this actually exceeds 90, even 90 points. And the difference, however, is that the gap between let's say 85 and 90 is shorter than between 90 and 95. So the whiskey has to offer a little bit more if it wants to exceed the 90 points, 91, 92, more and more. Yeah, it has to offer something that is that you sometimes cannot even quantify in objective terms. So sometimes it's a feeling, it's association, it's emotions that go along with certain bottles. So here in this case, this is definitely one of those. So the nose alone is worth at least 94 points in my point of view. From my point of view, it loses a little bit in that regard on the palate and finish, as if there were a tiny bit more sweetness to it, then this would be on par with the nose in my eyes. But it's of course all relative. Yeah, so 94 on the nose, 92, 93 on the palate and finish. And all in all, I give this an astronomical 93 out of 100. So my highest rated whiskey yet. Yeah, as I said, if you can still find it, you can certainly recommend it to hunt for a bottle. This is, and just on the general note, this is now the first of a series of 4 amazing bottles that are among my favorites after all these years of trying whiskey. So this is now the first one, so stay tuned for the next 3 videos, and I hope you enjoyed this. Leave me a like, a comment, or subscribe, and then I'll see you again pretty soon. And yeah, have a great day. Bye bye.